been a lot of updates to the current build guide that I have that a lot of people have been checking out, rating, seeing, criticize, and critique, and giving me lots of feedback, which has been awesome. And as I keep playing, I've been trying to make some new stuff and find things more suited to me, and trying to diversify. Okay, I can't English, not too hard. a lot of different things out there. So, what this video is my build version number 2. I have 15 more to cover over because in my current DSOD loud build list, it's been lots of changes, lots and lots of changes, lots of great information that I've been putting, and any build video that doesn't have a fancy YouTube link, basically, I'm going to be going over. And as you can see here, I don't have a fancy intro video, just like in this one for the rest of the builds. So, with that being said, this guide has gotten very big. And there's been a lot of people who have rated it, and like I said, has given great feedback, and I appreciate every little bit. And it's been awesome. Actually awesome. And as you can see, I do a lot of CrewChief, a ton of CrewChief, for that matter. A little bit of Kingpin. I got another Kingpin build the last time, and this one's going to be a bit special. I'll explain why in just a moment. I haven't really touched too much on Stoic. I've done a bit more Hacker because I do like the ECM crowd control ability. And of course, another perk deck that I recommend folks to start learning is Anarchist. Because Anarchist, there's a lot of different various points and playstyles, builds that this, that, the other, you can definitely try. And of course, I got lots of video examples for Anarchist, obviously, because I do lots of Anarchist and sniping. So that's a thing. And of course, some crazy burst builds with pistols. I got more videos to add, so don't worry. There's going to be a lot more stuff down the road. It's just I was hoping to get something up to date, up to snuff, just to keep on the current trend of, hey, these are some of the builds I'm running. Check it out. If you want to try something cool, or if you want to try something different, or if you want to try something effective. And it's just pretty much an update to the video, as well as some of these builds are also showcased in my other guide that I've been working so heavily on, is the DSOD Loud guide. And if there's different builds other than mine here, don't worry. I got some here, including myself. We got one for every perk deck. Well, I think I'm missing one. Not a huge deal. Yeah, I'm missing Infiltrator. Don't worry about it. But we got lots of great folks here. Thank you to each and every one to support this guide with their own builds, with their own stuff. And it's not just me. So if you want to try those out, feel free. So with that being said, lots of support, lots of great feedback, and I appreciate every little bit. Lots of learnings for everybody, including myself. So that's what I want to do today. It's just basically get a second video of what we currently have. Starting off, not Infamy 3.0. Jesus, where was my mouse going? Oh my goodness. As you can see in the background, I have more modded anime stuff, so feel free to cringe. I don't care. But this one here is basically my CrewChief Sniper build. It is one of my signature builds to be running for the majority of heists, because obviously CrewChief can support the hell out of the team. And in this case, I'm running a 255 sniper setup. So with a 255 sniper, that's pretty much the damage breakpoint to one shot of heavy if you hit him in the face, which is good, because then that will create a graze effect to, well, kill everything behind it. Assuming, you know, nothing is higher than 960 HP, which is like a special or dozer, that kind of thing. So that being said, I do like the Rattlesnake. There are different types of 255 snipers. Go over them quickly. There is the R700. Faster rate of fire. Has better stats, but for me, I personally like the Rattlesnake because I'm used to the recoil. It's just a personal thing. I do say the R700 is better, but hey, builds are like waifus. And of course, the repeater is another 255. Right now I got it silenced, so if you do have a silencer on it, it will kill the breakpoint, so you have to take that into consideration. However, with that being said, here are the mods for it. And of course, I like running this because it has great ammo pickup, and it just one-shots pretty much everything that I need. The secondary that I use is the Krinkov submachine gun. This is what for any oh shit moments, or if I need to take care of a dozer ASAP. I try to keep that accuracy and stability, mostly the stability, pretty much up there. So I don't want this thing bouncing around. Heavy ballistics for that armor breakpoints, first aid kits for anchoring and for team support. Flashbangs, concussions, I know I got a cute little printing here, but that's the only modded throwable, I guess, that I have. And of course the buzzer. CrewChief, and here are the skills. So I went for a standard uppers quick fix inspired deployment. Monster taker with double jokers. A graze tree for 255 snipers, because they have a lot of innate accuracy, I don't need that marksman bonus, so this way is easier and good to go. Standard bullseye, scavenger. I'll talk about underdog in just a moment. Nothing here. Duck and cover. You don't need parkour for, you know, non-CTV or ICTV setups. Unseen strike to get myself, you know, the crits for when a dozer comes around the corner. I value target for all the specials and all the crazy pinging that you can help your team with. And the standard of 9 lives. So, why underdog? In 90% of all builds, I would highly stress the fact to go for 1-point hardware expert. Unfortunately, there's a flaw with CrewChief and Overkill's programming. CrewChief actually requires underdog. I have explained this in my build Steam guide, whatever, in a separate video. But I'll quickly go over the fact that there's this skill card thingy, however you want to call it, Marathon Man. The 6% damage reduction that you get will only work if you have underdog attached, or equipped, however you want to call it. So you're missing out on a huge amount of survivability. And I've done the math really quickly. Here it is. So if you look at, you know, light SWATs or some street cops, gangsters, they do 67.5 damage, fields do 70, and if you look at the quick math here, at a lightweight ballistics level, without underdog, your armor is not going to survive. With underdog, your armor will survive. Well, what about a Zeal shot hitting you for 225? The damage difference it does between 15 damage reduction or 22 with underdog, it's a tremendous health difference. Meaning about 16. So if you take that with hostage taker, it can save you roughly 5 seconds of healing. And in the heat of the combat, this can mean a lot of difference. And I've seen much better plays, much better, you know, longer living, I guess, more survivability with underdog. So I highly stress it. Every other build, I would rather go for the drill skills. Until CrewChief gets fixed from Overkill, I'd suggest putting this on, otherwise I would still recommend Hardware Expert. So, that is my favorite build to put on. Just a standard 255 sniper. If anybody wants to get into sniping, I definitely recommend using a Rattlesnake, R700, or the repeater sniper rifle, just to get started. I used to start with the Contractor, but relying on crits or relying on Berserker can be a little bit difficult at first. However, I'd strongly recommend this sniper class, the 255 damage, however you want to call it, to anybody who wants to get started. So, that being said, moving on to another CrewChief Sniper build. So I did mention the Contractor, and in this setup, we're going to utilize crits because of our low detection. So I'm using the Contractor once again. So in this mod setup, I'm trying to focus for more concealment. In this example, I'll be using the Tatanka. I called it a Bison, you know, from other previous video games. And this is basically the Dozer Melter. The only difference is it doesn't have a speed magazine. With aggressive reload, if you get a headshot kill, you can swap to your secondary and reload it. Keep that in mind. And as we talked about the lightweight ballistics vest being an armor breakpoint with underdog activated, this works just fine. And as my other CrewChief Sniper setup, I prefer first aid kit so I can anchor myself, support the team, and make sure objectives get done a lot cleaner and quicker. Flashbangs as usual, and the skill sets as follows. The only difference is that the Contractor has a low accuracy, so you might want to put in the points for Marksman instead of 1 point in ammo efficiency and stable shot aced. Otherwise, the tree standard setup is merely the same. The only difference is, I got more crits, but I don't have high value target. So it's up to you how you want to take the sniper route. Both work pretty good, but I prefer the other one as a great starter. Enough of the light and heavy ballistics talk. What about back to ICTV, which I still recommend for the perk that CrewChief? Because you go over that 225 armor value, so why not let's use it? In this setup, CrewChief is very reliant on jokers, and of course if we're going to put points into armor, well, your points are spreading very thin. The solution that I have is a 128 damage weapon. It's basically half of 255. So in this setup, I'm using the M60 that was recently released, I guess. So the mods here for this are a little bit finicky. You can probably find something that suits you however you want, but I try to keep that stability as much as I can, because these things have a bipod for the added accuracy. So, without further ado, at least put a compensator that gives it that 128 damage, and the rest is up to you. For my secondary, I just took a Commando, because sometimes AoE clearing is nice. Hell, I put a team boost because I'm a team player. Otherwise, still keep the first aid kits, that's good. Ammo for the Commando, or for anybody on my team that needs a B. CrewChief once again. Now this looks a little bit weird, so why are you doing painkillers, Kev? Well, because Jack of all trades can speed up your deploy time. So, since I like reviving people and making sure that they're up, I want to make sure painkillers is priority. In my previous CrewChief setups, I didn't have enough points to even get painkillers. In those scenarios, I would probably have to clear the area with the sniper rifle, and or throw some concussion, flashbangs, however you want to call it, to clear the area and make sure they get up safely. Because without painkillers, they're most likely to go down again, and if that's their last life, they're straight into custody. And I don't want to be that guy that likes to inspire somebody and put them back down. That's just wrong. Again, I'm a team player. I want to make sure they're up and ready, and I want to make sure that, you know, they got my back and I got their back. And please, if you're going with just only a medic bag setup, make sure you got painkillers. This is priority 1 in my case. So anyways, I'll explain more once we get to the anarchist tree. Standard jokers and hostage taker for CrewChief, stable shot for the LMG, standard ICTV shotgun LMG setup for CrewChief, jack of all trades, and like I said, you can deploy and interact with your equipment a lot faster, so that's why the same speed is relatively the same for the first aid kits. Parkour for the ICTV setup, a bit of OI just to make sure the jokers get targeted instead of me. Otherwise, the rest is pretty well standard. The last CrewChief build that I have is a shotgun one, utilizing the lightweight ballistic vest again. Shoutouts to Bloodsheep for finding out a big flaw that I had kind of screwed up. But as the title below says Predator, I wanted the Predator shotgun as well, not the M10. So, bit small, bit of a retake, but nonetheless, the Predator or the M10 shotgun perform relatively the same. So I have it modded as follows. Standard with an HE Judge, so I can melt the dozer shields or the, you know, the shields themselves. And maintain 23 detection. That's how we caught it. Apparently it was 26 with the M10. That's okay, thank you again. And as you can see here, I opted for Quick Fix Basic so I can maintain the speed and still have team support with painkillers aced. Standard jokers. And here's that underdog because shotgun skills work really great with CrewChief. And since shotgun skills are very cheap because all you need is overkill basic, I have a lot of points to spend elsewhere such as Die Hard Transporter and including Bullseye. Keeping up to Unseen Strike, which I still recommend in any build that you can get your hands on. And everything else is pretty well standard. So as an alternate, you could change this to a silencer, get 22 detection, and or Go up to an M1014. Well, that one's a little bit busier, but there you go. There's the idea. But nonetheless, I wanted a different shotgun, so thank you again, Bloodsheet, for catching that. The other class that I played the most is Anarchist. Probably my best Anarchist to play with. It's my Anarchist Sniper build using the Contractor Sniper Rifle. And as a reminder, if you're playing with Anarchist, please make sure that you have the suit. The difference between suit and lightweight ballistics vest is 1 second. This regenerates at 2 seconds. Lightweight ballistics vest regenerates at 3 seconds. You might get more armor value, but that's not how the class works. The class works best when you have suit. And I'll show you how to get past that 225 threshold once again. Without further ado, let's go over the weapon mods. Same thing with the CrewChief Crit Sniper that I had in the previous setup. Maintaining all that lovely low detection, so I can make sure that we have low blow ace ready to rock and roll. I don't want to settle for 27% critical hit chance. We want to make sure we get that full 30. I use a Molotov to basically lower my HP. I do have quick little small videos to demonstrate it. Once your HP starts to tick, wait for 5 more ticks, get an armor tick, and take 2 more hits. Pretty easy to set up, but try some practice, try it out, see what works best for you. It's a little harder if you have a crew chief in the party and or a joker that you've already converted. Because a joker is, you get more HP when he's on your side. The way Anarchist works is, more HP, the more armor you got. As stated here, Partners in Crime says you get a 30% health increase. So, with that being said, 30% is enough to get your suit armor value to 240. If you have full armor, you can tank a sniper shot. That's right, snipers can actually, you know, have a trouble time taking you down if you have full armor. But if at any given time you're shot, well, you might be in for a rough time. So, with that being said, going over the skill sets, anytime I want to see a medic bag, I want to make sure that I have painkillers, because it doesn't make sense to go quick fix and combat doctor in any circumstance. Especially with Berserker, just in case I go down and I want that extra little bit of damage back from 80% Berserker. Maybe I'll throw another Molotov and measure myself using, you know, the fire ticks to lower my HP even further. Quick fix can screw that up because of 10% less damage taken. So anyways, painkillers, once again, is superior. Because if you're going to go the medic bag route, and you're going to use Inspire, like a silly goon, or if you want to go ahead and res them right away without clearing the area, or you're just in a really tight situation, you have no idea what to do, or if it's like last second and you're screwed, this is why I prefer the painkillers route. I don't think quick fix and combat doctor should ever be mixed. Unless crime spree. Yeah, only crime spree. It's my only exception. Otherwise, enough for blabbing. One standard Joker setup for Anarchist, like I said, this helps us with the armor and armor gating entirely. Standard gray setup for the Contractor, Bullseye, pretty standard amongst the other builds that you've seen already. The only difference here is trying to maintain a bit of quick scoping and have team value support and the crits needed. Unfortunately, we don't have enough for Unseen Strike, standard 9 lives, and Berserker to give ourselves the extra breakpoint damage needed for the Contractor. Really fun build, I really enjoy this, and it's definitely helped a lot of my games. And I do have a lot of examples videos on it. Some of the tougher heists are no problem with this setup. So here's an alternate build for the Sniper Zerk setup that I displayed earlier. This time it's using the Grom Sniper rifle. The Grom can be concealed a little bit better than the Contractor. The only drawback is the limited magazine size. So just a quick difference between the two that I originally displayed. You can really tone it down just a little bit more. And with that being said, I can get a better secondary with more stability and accuracy. So modded as follows. Maintaining the simple setup for silencer and lots of concealment. You could probably conceal it even more if you took off the stability, but I noticed it went to 0 So I was kind of worried about that. However, the Contractor to me is more consistent. You can definitely try this out, and I've done it before and it works pretty good. The bonus is you get a kick-ass secondary. This time using the Krinkov submachine gun again, as opposed to the CR805. Either or, float your boat, build you like waifus, change them how you will, but these are two examples. Well, the same example with the exact same skill set, so I'll just quickly brush over this. Otherwise, we can go back to the original with the Contractor setup, and change our secondary back to the CR805. And there you go. However, if you don't want to go the Joker route, I do have a different setup, using a 255 sniper rifle. Same concept, same suit, medic bag. Instead of Molotovs, we've got flashbangs. Oh, and by the way, this is an ice pick. This is good for Bloodthirst, just in case you need to click a dozer. Anyways, using the R700, has a faster rate of fire, so for me it makes sense. I toss a silencer because I want to maintain that aggro a little bit less. But in this example, we don't have to worry too much about detection. Using our famous LMG Krinkov that I've used before, modded for as much stability and accuracy as possible. May not be 100-100 similar to the LMG setup that I had previously, however, it still packs a punch for any, okay, I need something quick moment. Skills are as follows, same painkiller setup. Now in this case, I don't have partners in crime for a Joker. So I'll explain that in just a moment, how I can surpass that 225 armor threshold. Gray setup for 255 snipers. A really weird tree. Now, Anarchist doesn't get any benefits from Shock and Awe Basic. And of course I'm using a sniper, what's the point in acing it? Another thing that's really weird is Bullseye aced. Now, I will say this has saved me 3 times in using this build. When a shield hits me for a little bit extra damage, that 20 extra armor on top of the 5 has saved me in the past, when I checked my own videos and stuff like that. 9 times out of 10, no build should ever require to be an aced set of Bullseye. But since I wanted to maintain Resilience Dace, the Hard Transporter to get Iron Man Basic, I figured why not, and it has saved me in the past. So, up to you how you want to manage it, but I think this is pretty nice to have. Some other Anarchist players can agree, and some other Anarchist players may not agree. But hey, builds are like waifus, you can try and test what you need. The Iron Man Basic, this gets us a little bit more armor, as you can see, 205. We'll remember that number in a sec. Another thing cool about this build is I like to have this as a floater point. So just in case I want to bring a saw for big bank, I can move it over for portable saw. Or I can just speed up a little bit on drill skills, or you can move these 2 points however the hell you want. Pretty cool. Next thing is high value target, again, team-based skill, and this does help for damage breakpoints. Last thing is 9 lives, and all the way to frenzy. So I take 10% less damage, 10% less of 225 means I can surpass a Zeal shot if I have full armor twice. So this helps surpass that 225 breakpoint. The nifty thing about this setup is that my pumping iron aced, I can one-click a dozer because Bloodthirst Basic is all you need. So a little bit different setup as opposed to the Sniper vs. Zerk, and or other ways to quickly get to frenzy because I had the extra 2 points. Really fun build if you're struggling to get a Joker, or if you're too lazy to go get one, or if you have a hacker into the party, which can screw up the Berserker HP, because all you need is, you know, 40% Berserker to get past the 255 threshold if you're using a silenced 255 sniper rifle. A lot of math and a lot of words to go over. It's alright, try it out if you want, or take it to the custom maps such as Enemy Spawner or Proving Grounds. See my internet cutting out, but that's okay, I'm recording. Haha. Let's keep her going, boys. So, if you don't like snipers, I have a pistol variant. And yeah, as you can tell, the crazy masks and stuff, but hey, Still an anarchist build, like I said. You can do lots of fun things with it. And in this case, I wanted to maintain a very high burst DPS. It may not have the range, but dozers can go poof in a quarter of a second. And I'm not kidding when I say quarter of a second. I melted a full clip of the Akimbo Strike 18Cs. A full clip can delete 5 minigun dozers in a row. Anyways, mod it as follows. Get a suppressor on it. And make sure the stability is up there, because these things will fly off the seat of your pants. An armor-piercing 5.7 pistol to take care of the shields, or just in case you need a quick swap. If you ever run out of ammo and you don't have time to reload. This thing has saved me even for killing heavies. Molotov just to get yourself the berserker damage. The skills as follows. Standard Inspire, standard Joker setup, 1 point stable shot. Bullseye still saves and helps me here. Surefire Ace, this allows me to do penetration on any armored units. So in case a Zeal unit farther than my aim can properly headshot him, I can at least stagger him or shoot. I can get a critical hit and potentially get rid of him. This is very nice to have, especially for very fast pistols. The staggering difference between Surefire Ace and not having it makes a huge difference. Next is this crazy tree here. As you can see, we got a lot of accuracy and stability for silenced weapons. We can lower detection because of Optical Illusion's aced effect. For every silencer means less detection. And we can get down to 4 detection, which means we're max for low blow basic. Combining it with Unseen Strike and Berserker Aced, we have a lot of DPS. Maintaining 9 lives, and this very simple burst DPS pistol tree. Since we're primarily going to be using the Akimbo 18Cs, this is where we're going to be needing a bit of that extra ammo and a bit of that stability. Just be very soft on the triggers. If you continue to kill enemies between the AP pistol and the Akimbo 18Cs, you can be very ammo efficient in this setup. And I've had no problems whatsoever. Never needed an ammo bag. Unless you're spraying on rooftops, such as Henry's Rock, or some ammo unreachable places, yeah, then maybe suggest a different build. I prefer one-handed talent because that means more damage to Dozer. Dozer goes poof a lot faster. I don't like the Desperado reloading faster because that leads to aggressive gameplay, and that leads to more, less damage, I'm not going to have enough ammo, this, that, the other. And with Anarchist, maybe your armor breaks and you need to cool down a little bit. Go into cover, take the extra second to reload. It's worth it. Standard trigger happy just to go really super damage on the things. So, that's the gist of all my Anarchist builds. However, if you want to try pistols without the Anarchist setup, I've been enjoying this Hacker setup. So if you want some dodge, utility, and a bit of burst CC with healing, just giving these a try as well. Using the same Akimbo 18Cs, modded these for as much stability and accuracy as needed. No different, AP pistol once again. And in this setup, I have the Flash Hider just for more damage. If you don't have pistol skills, another reminder is that the Flash Hider can go above the 128 threshold. And again, that's if you don't have pistol skills. This number changes if you do. Modded as follows, Standard Inspire. I prefer Doctor Bags when it comes to Hacker because you can get a lot of healing from it. I know a lot of more aggressive players like to play with first aid kits instead of Doctor Bags when it comes to Hacker or dodge-based perk decks, but I'm pretty comfortable with Hacker, and I'd say this is a okay setup. But I mean, you might be able to swap the points and change it around, not a big deal. The big thing is making sure they have a couple of jokers, because more HP means more HP. Pretty simple, more survivability. And of course, if you don't get enough healing, you have Hostage Taker to save you. Otherwise, the build's still relatively standard. In this setup, I do have lock and load because I do have the extra points to spend, but I'm still maintaining that Surefire Ace so I can make sure I get that stagger, just in case something is about to shoot me. Only low blow basic this time. I don't need unseen strike ace because we're using dodge and healing and a bit of crowd control from the ECM effect to our advantage. The only difference is duck and cover ace. That gives us our extra 10% dodge while sprinting. You don't need to fully spec for Sneaky Bastard. Jesus, please don't. You don't need to. This is 20 points, too much of a waste. But in my eyes, this is more team beneficial. This is more survivability. This is guaranteed. This is not guaranteed. Remember that. Standard 9 live setup and a standard akimbo tree setup for the pistols. So, enough with pistols and enough with fancy stuff. I do have one more anarchist build. Kind of forgot to go over. And the mod creator did some crazy stuff with the masks. As you can see, they're very fancy. Very fancy. If you don't like snipers or you don't like the pistols, I do have a sweet shotgun build that I've been playing around with, and it's pretty fun. So just like any anarchist build, make sure you got the suit. Went for Dr. Bags again. This particular setup, in my previous setups, I like to use the Molotov to get lower HP, but in this setup, you can run concussion grenades, flashbangs, however you want to call them, because we'll be using an HE Judge setup. So you can literally shoot the ground while crouching, and that will do self-damage, and you can lower your HP that way. Without further ado, and I think this shotgun, the wrong one. It is. I'll make a quick edit on that. Not a big deal. Because the other one had the accurate King's Crown compensator. You could run that if you want to go for more accurate long shots. However, I prefer an AoE spread. Again, there's differences between these and how they affect gameplay. Maybe I won't cut that out. I don't know. But nonetheless, I prefer something with horizontal spread. So if you're in the hallways of, say, No Mercy or Big Bank, this can come in much more handy as opposed to a more accurate shot. Again, personal preference. You just saw two perfectly usable shotguns. Up to you how you want to deal with it. And of course, the HE Judge to do self-damage. Skill sets are as follows, and I like to play this one a little bit differently. And since shotgun skills are very cheap, I'm able to afford a second Joker. I'll show you why in a bit. And as you can see, I don't need like a lot of crits or high value target or graze ace. In this case, it's just overkill basic and a standard M1014 or Predator 12 gauge shotgun setup. I can even afford diehard in this setup. I got drill skills. These are a bit optional, and I'll show you why in just a moment. Unseen strike and low blow aced. And berserker, so I can do more damage to anything that I want to shoot. If you have 80% or higher berserker, you can one-hit heavy Zil units without a crit. So if you say hi to Mr. Dozer with all that damage, you can potentially two-shot him. This build is extremely bursty and strong. The only problem is the M1014 is not the Ishma, so you will have to take a lot of time of reloading. So you want to be aggressive, but you don't want to be full throttle with this build. The adjustment you can take with this build is you can take away the drill skills and die hard basic, and you can get some shield knockback in case you want more throughput with the M1014. However, if you want to take a step back and use your HE Judge to melt them, you can opt for all the drill skills just to speed up a lot of heists. Drill skills are really good for thermal drills, but at least have 1 point if you're going to be taking any heist. This will help fix any small drill or the thermal drill. Always recommended. So, the other Kingpin build that I had, I wanted another one at least, because Kingpin's a very versatile perk deck. Unfortunately, with the recent license stuff with Universal Studios, I believe, and Overkill Software Studios, whatever, somebody can correct me on that if they're a big nerder than me. Kingpin's no longer available. I don't know if Overkill has said or have any plans just to kind of release this perk deck back into the wild, but for those that have it, you can enjoy this build, as it's very fun and a lot of explosiveness. Again, my English sucks, I don't give a shit. But for those that don't have it, unfortunately, I can recommend watching other videos, I guess. I'm not gonna advertise other unnecessary ways to get this, but nonetheless, with that being said, it's no longer available. So, however, the build itself, like I said, is very explosive and fun. I bring ammo bags and a doctor bag because we got a jack of all trades setup. And in this setup, we're using the little friend 7.62. And in this setup, we're trying to get as much stability and accuracy as possible. With this rifle, it's combined with an underbarrel grenade launcher. This is where the ammo efficiency comes into play. The gun itself is primarily used for dozer melting and or Kingpin armor healing, or armor gating healing, however you want to call it, I guess. If you have any point of armor and you get shot with the injector, that's how you get healed. The secondary is the Commando rocket launcher, obviously for more explosiveness. I did say the build was explosive, right? So anyways, standard Inspire, standard hostage taker joker setup for 2 jokers. Bullseye so I can make sure that we have lots of healing opportunities, and just in case we need to melt the dozer and or we get shot, that kind of thing. Diehard, which is pretty standard for Kingpin setups. You can do the objective, and when your HP is getting low, hit that injector and get safely out. I run the setup with 2 doctor bags. Or, holy shit, I'm tired. 2 ammo bags, don't quote me on that. I am right, I do run 2 doctor bags. So, 2 ammo bags, and as Jack of all trades aced, it will have your secondary deployable. So you want to make sure you have this first. However, if it's a quick heist, you can swap these around for 2 doctor bags. And there you go. The cool thing about Bulletstorm Ace is that if any user in your team has this, be very aware. Because they're probably saving that last 10% or that last use of Bulletstorm Ace. Because what that does is infinite ammo for 60 seconds. That's a full minute. Yes, I know how to do math, right? I'm sure everybody does too. But this allows a full minute of rocket spam, the rifle spam, or the underbarrel grenade launcher spam. You can use those to your advantage to clear anything during an assault. So make sure that this is your primary use. Just strategically place things, or place your ammo bags where you gotta go. If you're on a fast-moving heist, such as, you know, Heat Street or Hell's Island, make sure you place these ammo bags accordingly and don't waste them. That's the only trick to ammo bag placements I'd recommend. Otherwise, moving on, like I said, jack of all trades, so we can maintain both ammo and doctor bags. If I got my math and English correct. Unfortunately, we don't have enough for drill skills, but that's where Diehard comes into play. This is more valuable than this. Standard Unseen Strike, similar to the CrewChief Sniper setups that I showed earlier, but in this example, we can use this to support the team, ping a dozer, and if we get hit, we can melt that dozer significantly faster. And Standard 9 Live setup. Using a heavy ballistic setup, we can maintain that 67.5 damage breakpoint for some of the lighter hitting units. The only problem is the shield units do 70, so that will be a bit of an issue. However, with the Kingpin health pool and the injector that you have and the jokers that come with, it makes it a fun and pretty explosive perk deck to play. Okay, that's enough jokes, Kevin. Give me that next build. Of course, of course. So, if you want that more armor, I got another armor setup that I enjoyed using. It's a little bit more difficult to use because I wanted to give the Lebensauger some recognition. And in this case, I have it modded as follows. Another silencer sniper rifle setup. It may not be as good as the Contractor, because the Contractor comes with 20 bullets and a much faster reload. The differences are huge, but the added benefit with the Lebensauger is you get a lot of accuracy. The difference is 96 to 76. Going over the secondary, it's pretty much the same one we've been using in that Sniper Frenzy setup, or that LMG setup in my previous build video. Go over it quickly as we already have before. And so in this setup, using flashbangs and ice pick, you can see my tree is a little bit different from using the Contractor sniper rifle. It's similar to a 255 setup, where I can maintain 1 point ammo efficiency. So if you're really good at making shots, the Lebensauger is probably a better sniper rifle than the Contractor, if you can manage getting consistent headshots to maintain your aggressive reload. Otherwise, that reload is a very, very long time. Otherwise, it's very much the same setup that I had in my previous armor Contractor sniper setup. The only difference is we don't have a Molotov, we don't have a Judge. All you gotta do is get hit by a Zeal unit, because they do 225 damage, and you got 230 HP. That's how you get your extra damage. But nonetheless, if there's a crew chief in the party, or if there's any bot bonuses that you or some other teammate provides that gives more HP, be aware of that. Otherwise, the full damage will not be in effect. The good thing about these damage sniper rifles is that they need about 55% Berserker to get the one-hit heavy kill. So keep that in mind. Another build that I also have played, because I wanted to touch into the 500 damage sniper rifles, is my Muscle 500 sniper build. And in this case, I tried a lot of 500 damage type sniper rifles. Well, I guess there's really only 4 of them. R93, Platypus, the Nagant, and the Desert Fox. They all have different quirks. Personally, I prefer the Platypus after trying them all. The rate of fire difference between the R93 and the other 255 sniper rifles kinda couldn't really, well, I didn't like it. The Desert Fox lacks accuracy, but comes with concealment. For the setup, I wasn't worried about that, so I wanted to stick to somewhere between the Platypus and the Nagant. So I chose the Platypus because it felt a little bit comfortable to control the recoil, but again, it's all personal preference. You can change it how you will. I have it modded as follows. The only difference is I didn't go for a lead combo because the laser sight was a little bit offset, so I stuck with a military laser module just to keep more stability. Otherwise, it's pretty standard, I guess. And next, I chose the CR805 to keep things a little bit different from the Krinkov. This has the most accuracy and stability I could come up with. Utilizing a jack-of-all-trades setup, concussion grenades, I came up with this. Since we're using jack-of-all-trades, I'm maintaining the painkiller's uppers deployment because I care for my team. Since Muscle has an innate hostage taker with 3% per every 5 seconds, you can definitely run without it. Or you can run with it if you wanted to get rid of the jack-of-all-trades setup and play with a 255 sniper rifle instead, which is totally viable, but again, what I wanted to shoot for was a 500 damage sniper rifle in case folks like that. I still recommend an ammo bag with them, unless you are a perfect aimer and can get every single headshot. I'm not one of those, so I want to bring an ammo bag. And the good thing about Muscle is that you create more space for your team by being a bigger target. And since it's a health perk deck, I want to make sure that I have partners in crime, jokers, for more support for my team and myself. Otherwise, it's pretty much a standard gray setup with 255 sniper rifles. Not taking OI here, because that's kind of kills the purpose of the perk deck, but I have lots of crits for dozers and high value target for sniping and support. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much standard. So I finally got some assault rifle builds that I like to showcase. They're not the most stellar, I'm sure there's probably better ones, but I wanted to go for a more survivable Crook setup. I know there's a lot of ways you can make Crook viable. Because the benefit of Crook is that you have a shit ton of armor. You can probably run this with a Frenzy high ballistics setup with Iron Man basic and get some crazy Zeal 225 breakpoints. However, I prefer the more survivable route because my luck with dodge is terrible. So, modded with the AK-5 rifle. I have it modded as follows. And of course a compact grenade launcher, just to maintain that AoE and shield clearing. Concussion, lightweight ballistics vest. Skills are as follows. Another assault rifle build that I like to play with is the ex-president. Very similar to the Crook setup that I have, with a lightweight ballistics vest. Jeez, I can't do this all day. But with a Union rifle instead. And of course, my favorite grenade launcher, just for lovely AoE clearing. And the skills are slightly different. In this example, I have to go for Die Hard Aced. Otherwise, everything's relatively the same. Maintaining crits, accuracy and stability, and having the standard 9 lives, just like in the other setup. Now, I do have one more build specifically for transports. Since I made a video on it, and I kind of want to display it a little bit better and kind of give some more information on it. I like to treat those nasty freaking transport heists as crime spree. So I'm going to use a very lazy and efficient setup. As you can see, I got trip mines and doctor bags, flashbangs, and a saw. Well, they'll never... You could say the transports never saw it coming. Anyways, our beloved pink shoddy and a saw. Modded for Dragon Breath fire rounds. And the skills as follows. Running the Anarchist suit setup. Very similar to Crime Spree. Double Jokers. The only difference is I have Joker A's because I want to make sure I can take the heat off of me and the team. Because transports to me are quick in and out. Close by so I can proc a headshot if needed. Jack of all trades and more C4. And just in case if one other person doesn't run a utility setup, you got a few extra drill points just to speed things up. Not a whole heck of a lot, but this'll work. 6 cents aced. But Kev, this is a loud build. Why do you have stealth skills? This is to buy the escape driver. That is it. You are responsible for buying the escape driver because somebody forgot to spend 7 points to get that. So, recommended. So I can cover ace because I actually have the extra points. Nor do I recommend dodge on Anarchist, please. And before I flip to the next page, feel free to cringe. Yep. No other thing said. But I'm only gonna run this skill on transports because I want to make sure these things are done and over with because there's no cover. Onslaught of cops with infinite damage. Well, I shouldn't say infinite damage, infinite range damage. And you want to get in and out. There's a lot of bag moving with no cover. There's 5 transports. I don't care. Feel free to cringe. It's all right. So nonetheless, I don't have much more to really talk about. Other than those are the updates to the new builds. I can see some folks in chat that do like, and I see Carrot over there disliking one of them, but that's all right because everybody has their own differences. But if you want to try these out, feel free. I'm okay with more CNC because that's what we're here for. And yeah, without being said, you know, builds are like waifus. Feel free to try them out. I may be repeating myself. I really don't care, but nonetheless, I did want to kind of update this guide with another video and make sure that, you know, anybody that wants to try new stuff or wants to see an update, wants to see why, you know, why are you running this stuff? Why do you have a Molotov? Or how come your signature build has first aid kits instead of doctor bags, or weird stuff like that. I know a lot of folks, you know, have a lot of meta-based stuff from other social media platforms, that sort of thing. But as soon as you start learning the heists, as I have in my other guide next over here, my DSOD Loud guide, which I have lots of heist information that you should probably check out, with every single heist that I have, detailed with thorough tips and tricks to help you out, you can start to make more unique, creative, helpful builds. Because maps are very, very important to figure out. And once you get that figured out, you can do a lot of funsy stuff.